Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Mindy for My Favorite Things, and in today's video I am going to be doing some simple Copic coloring and simple ink blending to complete these cards. I'm going to be using a couple images off of the Fun Flowers stamp set. This is a really nice small stamp set with some cute little flower images on it. And I'm going to be stamping them onto some white cardstock. This is 80 pounds, using the My Favorite Things Extreme Black ink and the new MISTI 2.0. My favorite feature on this new MISTI is that little ledge that helps me open and close the lid a lot easier. So I needed to have 3 of those daisy flowers or sunflowers, and so I placed that up on the top of my cardstock towards the middle. And then that way I can just shift my white paper over and I can stamp it again. So that way I can have 3 of them. I'm going to start by coloring all of the leaves on my image here. Now you can look at this as a daisy or a sunflower, however you want to imagine it as. I'm starting with my darkest color, which is the G46, adding that to the bottom of each of the leaves, blending out with a YG25. And then I'm adding my lightest color, which is YG01, and that really brings in a highlight. Then I have Y35, Y21, and Y11 for my flower, and I'm just adding flicks from the center going out. Once I have the flower petals colored, I'll do the other 2 off screen to save a little time. I'm going to color in the middle, and I'm doing that with an E34 and then bringing in just a little bit of the E37 on one side of that center piece of the flower. Now for my other image here, I'm going to be using R22, R21, and R20. And I'm starting with the darkest color towards the bottom of the flower, once again kind of flicking up towards the end of the petals and then blending out with my remaining colors. I'm going to add just a little bit of R24 towards the very bottom just to kind of give more contrast and dimension to my image. Once I have all of these images colored in, I'm going to take the coordinating die, hold them in place with purple tape, and run these through my die cut machine. Then I'm going to work on a background for my images. So I have a piece of white cardstock. This is cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I thought it best to start with the size of cardstock that I want. Then I'm taking this square Extraordinaire stencil. I'm lining the bottom of the stencil up with the bottom of my cardstock, and then once I pick it up, I'm just going to eyeball having that square in the middle of my cardstock. So kind of just shifting that around. I placed purple tape behind my cardstock with the sticky side facing up. That way when I have it, the stencil placed where I want it, I can just push that down to stick to the purple tape. For the ink blending, I'm going to be using the Mustard Seed Distress ink and a blending brush. You can use whatever blending tool you feel comfortable with. I picked up the ink with my brush, tapped it off numerous times off on the side of my mat, and then I'm bringing in my brush and very lightly blending that onto the cardstock, starting at the bottom and working my way up. I want the darkest part of this to be at the bottom, so that's why I start at it. And as I go up and I use up the ink, it's going to get lighter towards the top. If I want to pick up more ink, I actually kind of go off on the side, pick some up that I had wiped off, or I can go back to my ink pad. Once I have all of my ink on there, I'm going to just carefully peel up the stencil, and I have this perfectly masked off square. I love the clean, crisp lines that this leaves. For my second card, I'm going to use the exact same steps that I did before, so I'm going to show them to you again, just making sure I eyeball those and I have kind of even margins on the side. And then I'm going to bring in the Worn Lipstick Distress ink, starting at the bottom, which is where I want my heaviest color to be, and blending all the way up to the edge of that stencil. Now previously in off screen, I had picked raspberry, which was just way too bright for my cards. So I tried to match the distress ink with the color I had colored my flowers in. Then I can carefully peel back that stencil, and now I can work on some stamping. I'm using 2 sentiments from the Well Hello stamp set. These were just great single strip sentiments that fit perfectly underneath my masked off square. So I'm lining that up underneath my ink blended block. and I'm going to push that up with a MISTI corner, and that helps me line it up perfectly straight. Then I can pick the sentiment up with the door of my MISTI, remove that MISTI corner, and ink that up with the extreme black ink. I'll repeat those same steps for my second card. I really love using the MISTI corners for lining up my sentiments. So if you don't have them, I do highly recommend them. After my sentiments are stamped, I went off screen and cut up 3 other pieces of white cardstock that measured the same as my card front here, so 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and attached them together. Then layering my front panel on top. That just creates even dimension behind my front panel here. And then I went through my scraps and I found some cardstock that matched the worn lipstick, so you can use whatever color you choose, whatever matches your ink blending, and attach that to the card base. Now for this red/pink one, I added my pink flower here with some foam squares just directly in the center there. For my yellow card, I must admit I really struggled with this. I had the 3 flowers, but I kind of wanted to use one, so I placed them on there. I really played around with it. Both options looked really cute. So here's the 3, then here's what it looked like with 1. But I figured I already had these colored. I'm going to go ahead and add them. And really, either choice would not be wrong, but I just wanted to show you I kind of debated there how they would look either or. So 2 flowers I added with tape runner. And then the one that's going in the middle, that kind of overlaps a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add with some foam squares. Now to add a little more interest to my red card here, I'm going to add just some sequins or confetti mix around my flowers. So I have 3 of them there, which is really good in card making to use kind of an odd number, and they're forming a visual triangle around my flower image. That finishes off my cards for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed creating these very simple and clean cards. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.